Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson. And happy 200th episode. Ladies and gentlemen, we've made it. Let's celebrate. Get that music on. Let's get it. Hell yes. Ladies and gentlemen, 200 episodes about telling you about the truth of every major religion. Its asinine practitioners are all evil in some regard. They all traffic men, women, and children. You learn that pretty quick around here. 200 episodes of truth-telling, even if it's misconstrued as racism by small-minded folk. And 200 episodes of truth-telling, regardless of the reaction. Here is to another 1,000 more, folks. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey of news, fun chats, and covering the latest and greatest of filth permeating our world. I gotta say, we gotta make this first story worth it, and I think it kind of is. Former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has told many family that she has begun divorce proceedings against her husband, Byron. God damn it. This was Hollywood, their it couple, latest one that they've had. This is the best one since Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. No public scandals, much like those two. They were very, let's say it, they were a figure for the MAGA movement, for the right in general. We like these two, they were definitional. Let's just put it that way. They were Madonna in the 1980s. They were Material Girl and all that junk. And recently, he has moved, unfortunately. She's kicked him out. He moved out of their home in Castlewood, South Dakota after his secret double life as a cross-dresser was exposed. And the photos were iconic. Everyone remembers them earlier in this year. Noem's own mother has come out and shared the sobering news Thursday in an exclusive interview with Daily Mail, explaining how the scandal proved to be an unbearable final blow to their 34-year marriage. Fuck. Quote, "It has been difficult, but we knew this was coming. They were going to get divorced," Corrine Arnold, 77, said during a sit-down interview at her home. I'm going to be honest with you. If I was Kristi Noem, I'd be pissed about my mom airing out my dirty laundry in public. You know what I mean? That's just kind of crazy to be like, listen, I know that mom doesn't get much attention. She's living in her home in South Dakota. She doesn't have very much going for her. So when something messy happens, she jumps on it. She talks to everybody about it at Christmas. There are people in your life, by the way, that are like this. There are drama queens that they will, listen, everybody knows if you got one in your family, your friend group, anywhere, there's a person where you just kind of don't tell them what's going on because you know they're going to do their little chirpy chirp 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 thing and it's going to make its way into a bunch of other people's ears. Unfortunately, there are just certain folks that you cannot invite to sit around the water cooler at work or whatever. You can't invite them to share the last brownie at Thanksgiving or whatever because the moment that you share something, grandma's hearing about it, that so-and-so's hearing about it. It's an intimidating person to be around. Not a lot of people enjoy that. People just, when you're at Thanksgiving, when you're at Christmas, especially with your friend's place or your family's place, you want to cut loose, you want to relax, it's the holidays. You don't want somebody, watching you get too drunk and then telling some so-and-so about it. Oh my God, did you see that so-and-so? Gosh, they had quite a few beers. Oh, did you see that they went out and they hit a vape? Oh my God, I didn't know that so-and-so vaped. It's weird. It's just weird. It's weird behavior. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Kristi Noem's mother is that. She's going to air out her daughter's dirty laundry when she has nothing else to talk about. That's just fun. Those types of people are always fun. You just gotta do your best with them because either you cut them out of your life or you make up fake stories that are going to make you sound good if they end up spreading them. That's at least what I do. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to move on, unfortunately. I have been stalling successfully for about 5 minutes. I don't want to cover this first story. As a matter of fact, I think we need to start it a little more respectfully. This 200th episode, as a matter of fact, will be dedicated in the name of he. I think, let's just cut to it, ladies and gentlemen. Official medical findings have shed new light on the sudden passing of longtime South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham.
There's not much more we can say, really.
Nope.
We've lost someone we love.
Yep.
It hurts.
It hurts.
Even though Tom is gone.
Lindsey. I told him before this. Come on.
Forever.
He'll be in our lives forever.
Comforting us.
Yep.
Making us laugh. And watching over us.
Watching over us. According to a preliminary report released by Washington, D.C. Medical Examiner's Office, the 71-year-old lawmaker died Saturday night from a catastrophic tear in his inner aortic wall. a condition medically known as an aortic dissection. Investigators state that the tear was related to an underlying case of I'm not going to try to pronounce it, commonly referred to as the hardening of the arteries. First responders had rushed to the senator's Capitol Hill home Saturday evening, following emergency calls reporting severe chest pains, but medical teams were unable to stabilize him. The medical examiner's office notes that the final death certificate will be issued once routine toxicological and microscopic testings are finalized. Graham's sudden death throws a major wrench into the political landscape, narrowing the Republican Senate majority. With a critical legislative juncture, under the South Carolina law, Republican Governor Henry McAllister will appoint a temporary replacement to serve out the remainder of Graham's term. Fly high, King. I'm gonna miss him beyond belief. And listen, this is not even a joke. Lady G, Lindsey Graham, closeted gay man that he was, I was deeply, deeply inspired by him. He was a titan of hawkishness on war. He was like, we gotta topple fucking Russia and all this shit. He was deep in on the conflicts. He was big on American involvement. And I wanted to take a moment to review one of my favorite moments with Lady G. This is back during the witch trial prosecution of Brett Kavanaugh, who ended up still becoming an associate justice on the Supreme Court. So, how much of a witch trial was it exactly? They found no witch. You know what I mean? Even though there was. I'm going to be honest with you. Some cows that were producing blood from the udders. There was like some women going infertile. There was some weird witchcraft in the village, but they did not find a witch, oddly enough. So, I wanted to review one of my favorite moments with Lady G. Take it away. He's just magnetic.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You said that. Not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello. Because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most
unethical sham since I've been in politics.
And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist? No.
Are you a gang rapist?
Are you a gang rapist? No.
Oh, I'm a little disappointed.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham.
Sham.
That you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford.
Dr. Ford.
She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it, because these have been my friends.
My friends.
But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process. You came to the wrong town at the wrong time.
At the wrong time, my friend.
Do you consider this a job interview?
He doesn't proceed to answer it. I'll be honest with you. He's slurring during this entire proceeding.
Advice and consent role is like a job.
You consider that you've been through a job interview.
Oh my God. Job interview.
Through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution.
Would you say you've been through hell?
Hell.
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview. This is hell.
Hell.
This is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap.
Crap.
Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life, not one accusation. You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school.
Why are you bringing up Bill Cosby, you son of a bitch? You think you're helping?
And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding that if you drug women and raped them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop.
Yeah, or unless you get smart and you're like, well, damn, I better either stop doing this or I better, do it a lot quieter.
Here's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned. He is very circumspect in his personal conduct harbors no biases or prejudices. He's entirely ethical, is a really decent person.
I believe it.
He's warm, friendly, unassuming. He's the nicest person.
Unassuming?
The ABA.
The ABA.
One thing I can tell you, you should be proud of.
T.
Ashley, you should be proud of this.
Proud of this.
That you raised a daughter who had the good character to pray for Dr. Ford. To my Republican colleagues, if you vote no, you're legitimizing the most despicable thing I have seen in my time in politics. You want this seat? I hope you never get it. I hope you're on the Supreme Court. That's exactly where you should be.
Where you should be.
And I hope that the American people will see through this charade.
Wow.
And I wish you well. And I intend to vote for you. And I hope everybody who's fair-minded will.
You know, that's actually, this speech was what made me go, okay, yeah, put him on the Supreme Court. I was actually like, sure, actually, that's fine then. He might actually be innocent. As far as I know, Lindsey Graham put up a good enough performance to possibly convince me. Am I a fool for that? Is anyone a fool for that? I don't think so. What I do think is that the Russians killed this guy. I do. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people are going like, I don't know whether or not the people actually killed him. I don't know whether or not he was assassinated. He might have been. As far as I know, he was into the funding Ukraine shit.
We learned that 3 of McCain's former colleagues were also in town. Democratic Senators Elizabeth Warren and Richard Blumenthal, and Republican Senator Lindsey Graham.
Why are those 3 on a team?
They don't normally agree on much. Together, though, they're some of the staunchest supporters of U.S. funding for Ukraine's resistance.
Yeah, kind of weird.
They're on track to break the Russian army.
No, they're not.
And the only way they could possibly lose is if we pull the plug on them.
Not true.
The wreckage of Russia's war machine was on display for you.
The idea that Pocahontas and Lady G are agreeing on something together should immediately make the idea repellent to anyone.
Independence Day celebrations, even as almost a fifth of the country remains under occupation.
People ask me, is it worth it? Here's what we've gotten for our investment. We haven't lost one soldier. We reduced the combat power of the Russian army by 50%. Not one of us has died in that endeavor. This is a great deal for America.
Is it so? Is it so a great deal for America? I'm going to be honest with you. Watching Russia slowly unite with China and Tehran right now for this transcontinental project with railroads and all of these sort of supply lines, I don't love the idea of alienating foreign powers so that they can get nice and cozy with a communist power. That's not comfy.
You previously said that it's the best money we've ever spent. That's still true?
Since we helped Churchill stand up to the Nazis.
We have to have confidence that the dollars we're spending are actually being spent in defense of the nation. All of that is important, but that's why we're doing it. Why did it cut her off? That's so strange. Anyways, whatever. Lady G, I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss you so badly, King. When I heard the news about it, I was devastated. Immediately, I joked about, I was like, God damn, the AIDS must have gotten bad. But then I realized it was probably the Russians killing you. I was like, damn, he was really out there. He was out there trying to topple the Russian regime. He was hanging out with Navalny and shit. He was trying to be the next Lenin, unfortunately. And Lady G, they weren't going to let that happen. So they severed his aorta, and now he's dead, unfortunately. Ladies and gentlemen, what more is there to say on the grand legacy of Lady G? What more can you orit on the legend of a man? I feel like Demodocus, rapping to you the legend of Odysseus, and I feel as though there's no more to say. This is the end of his tale. And yes, his effects will be felt for years on end, and people will remember him for his gusto and his, proclivities. Proclivities? Can we call it that for other men? I know the gay jokes. He never married, all this sort of stuff. He died alone and whatnot. That's probably exactly why he didn't have a male escort with him or like a wife at any point in his life. So he just died. He was just going to die. Well, I'm just going to be honest with you. You're less likely to die if you have people around you, if you surround yourself with individuals. That's why, you see people with big families generally tending to live pretty long, because any
anytime they're about to be peacefully exiting into the next plane of existence, their families grab them and rush them to the doctor to get fucking Frankenstein bolts in the neck. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen so many people, like other people's families and whatnot, and I've seen them force their people to live to over 90. I've seen them force their older relatives that are clearly, like, they can barely walk, they don't know where they are half the time, they're like, I don't know, like, where do we go again? Like, I don't know where I am right now. They are just lost, they don't understand what time is anymore, they're like, what is kind of like, what do you call, like, a lunch? Do I have to eat, do I have to do this eating thing, like, every day? And, like, waking up, what is that? There's, like, their mind melts at a certain point. These people that were born in the 30s or 20s, they're not meant to stick around for that long. And unfortunately, they keep sticking a new splint in the heart. They keep getting them brand new oxygen tubes to walk around with and whatnot. It's just like you're RoboCopping your grandmother into a longer, less meaningful existence. Whatever. It's interesting. It's whatever. You know what I mean? I wish that she took better care of herself when she was younger, but you know, there's nothing we can do. We can't change the past. We can only meaningfully change the future with our actions today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what else to say about this. Lady G, I'll miss you forever and always. You were my king. I hope that heaven is beautiful wherever you are, or if the Christians are right, I really hope that burning in hell is not that bad. If I will try to define your legacy as a legendary man, an Odyssean type figure, as I've said before. What more is there to say on a legend? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Lady G. Let's move on to our next story. Why don't we? All right. Governor Tim Walz has declared a peacetime emergency and mobilized the state's National Guard as Minnesota wildfires are raging, 20 of them around the northeastern border region. They are fueled by lightning strikes, extreme heat, drought conditions, a bunch of the junk. It has hit the Boundary Waters Canoe Area wilderness especially hard. The U.S. Forest Service has announced a total emergency closure of all entry points into the wilderness area starting just after midnight tonight. This is looking to block all overnight and day use reservations. Park rangers have spent the weekend actively escorting campers out of the backcountry as major blazes, including the rapidly expanding Thumb and Bear Trap fires, torched hundreds of acres of dense timberland near the Canadian border. The situation is escalating. The National Weather Service has kept strict red flag warnings in place for 13 northern counties, including St. Louis, Lake, and Itasca. Fire officials are warning that weather conditions remain favorable for explosive rapid fire growth, making traditional ground suppression incredibly hazardous to the general populace. To help protect vulnerable communities, the newly deployed National Guard units will be providing critical personnel, tracking equipment, and heavy aircraft to assist local departments and the Minnesota DNR with aerial water drops. State officials are urging all residents and tourists in northern Minnesota to exercise absolute caution. The DNR has strictly banned all campfires and open burning across the region until further notice. So you're not allowed to, if you see that patch of dirt or whatever, that patch of shitty lawn that you wanted to burn, you can't do that anymore. Can't do it, and I know you're gonna be like, I'm an Indian, I'm a descendant or whatever. I have the right to cleanse the land, restart it. Not this weekend. They're warning that a single stray spark could easily trigger another uncontained disaster, so keep it on ice for right now. Travelers for scheduled trips up north, authorities are advising you to check local safety maps and reservation portals immediately. They're not having portals, literally speaking. It's just like, other ways of getting around. It's not fun. It's not extra dimensional. It's not anything like that. They're not getting that intense with the disclosure yet. The emergency closures are expected to remain in place through at least until the end of the week. Let's hear a little bit more.
Thanks, Ian. As dangerous heat does settle in, fire danger is a concern across the state. Just today, Governor Tim Walz declared a peacetime emergency and mobilized the Minnesota National Guard to respond to multiple wildfires in northern Minnesota. Our Leon Purvis spoke to the Minnesota DNR and joins us live with their message tonight. Leon?
Kelsey, red flag warnings are in place in parts of Minnesota tonight, and the Minnesota DNR says that these are conditions that people need to take seriously. Now, the Minnesota DNR tells me active fire behavior is expected under red flag conditions. The U.S. Forest Service has closed 225,000 acres of the Boundary Waters, and according to the DNR, there are at least 19 active wildfires burning in northern Minnesota. Many are in remote areas, making it difficult for crews to reach them. The DNR says if there are fire restrictions where you are, follow them.
When a red flag warning is in effect, there's no burning permits issued or activated, so no large pile burning. Campfires are strongly discouraged, and
discouraged.
It's really important to use extra caution in those areas. We also have fire weather watch in parts of northwest Minnesota today, and it's looking like that, some of those conditions are going to continue, especially in the northeast.
But fire danger isn't just something to think about in northern Minnesota. The DNR says even routine yard work can create a spark and start a fire.
If you're doing yard work, it's another great thing. People don't always think about it, but a lawnmower blade hitting a rock can spark a wildfire. Chainsaws, anything with metal, farming equipment, as we learn,
You cutting limestone with it?
Start to get further into the summer too. All of that equipment can also cause wildfires.
Interesting.
Now, the Minnesota DNR says that 90% of wildfires in the state are caused by people. So if you're having a campfire, make sure it's contained and put it out cold. That means drowning it with water and stirring the ashes and repeating it until everything is cool.
Nah, you ain't gonna make me stir up the bottom of my campfire. Because guess what? That's gonna fuck up my ash collection at the bottom. I have a specific way I like to season my campfire. I'm like a white lady with her cast iron, where I'm like, you gotta wash it a certain way, and they don't realize that soap doesn't contain lye anymore, and you don't have to worry too much about scrubbing it anymore. You shouldn't scrub it too hard, but you shouldn't have to. You get it. Cast irons, I understand that you got to take really good, decent care of them. You got to oil them, but some people are way too anal about it. I'm just going to be honest with you. But I'm very particular about my cast irons. I'm just not that far with it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I am this white lady with the cast iron. However, it is with a campfire. I have very particular ways of dealing with this campfire. You're not going to stir it up with the ash, because then you're going to bury all that wood that you would be using to spark up your next campfire. That's like all nice, decent charcoal that you've developed and whatnot. It's nice and it's burnable. You can make something out of that. But whatever, people are not normally smart enough to deal with that. You get it if you get it. If you know about seasoning your campfire spot, you know about that. But maybe I'm retarded, and maybe it's just my individual way of doing it. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to move on to the rapid fire section of today's headlines because, it's fires. Watch out. Don't burn things. That's about all you need to know. Governor Tim Walz, best of luck to you. I hope that you don't have devastating wildfires on your bingo card for reasons that people do not like you as a governor. I hope that you're able to keep this contained. I understand we can't blame you for the weather. We can only blame you for the response. Ladies and gentlemen, Missouri, let's make that place our first area we stop at for the rapid fire section of today's headlines. A lot of things you need to know about in order to keep your media diet healthy. The House has signed a bill into law Thursday establishing Bentley's Law in the state, requiring courts to order child maintenance payments when a person is found guilty of a DWI crash that has killed a child's parent. I love this. This is peak. This is true justice.
New Missouri law puts together penalties on drunk drivers who cause deadly crashes. Governor Mike Kehoe signed Bentley and Mason's Law.
Oh, it's Mason's too.
Boys who lost their parents.
Oh, okay. So they're like, well, they both lost their parents, so I guess they can both get the law named after them. I guess it's you don't want just your brother getting all the credit.
An infant brother to a drunk driver in 2021. The new law requires convicted drunk drivers who cause a parent's death to pay child support for surviving children or the relatives raising them. It also creates a minimum 10-year prison sentence for repeat offenders whose drunk driving causes a fatal crash. That law takes effect on August 28th.
You'd think they'd already have a mandatory minimum for people who kill somebody's parents with a car, whatever. Okay, let's talk about the famously liberal state of Oregon. They are on track to elect a Republican governor for the first time in 4 decades, a shocking new poll is claiming. Incumbent Governor Tina Kotek is locked in a head-to-head with Republican State Senator Christine Drazan. According to new polling results obtained by Oregon Live, 48% of those surveyed would likely or definitely vote for Drazan. That was a 4% advantage above the 44% of respondents that said they were likely to vote for Tina Kotek. Deeply interesting. Listen, though, the poll was carried out by a Republican-aligned firm on behalf of Drazan's campaign team, who quizzed potential voters across the state at the end of June. Despite the narrow lead, the poll shows that Drazan's shaky lead fell within the poll's margin of error of plus or minus 4 points. The outlet reported that Drazan's team showed the result of the poll to lobbyists and potential donors earlier this week ahead of the November election. If she manages to sweep the election, that would be the first Republican governor of the state that they've had since Victor Attieh, who was last elected to office in 1982. Well, listen. Regardless of who they elect, they're going to need some Botox. I'm just kidding. They're showing smile lines. It looks very good. They look very pretty. All right, let's talk about the next thing. An Islamophobic social media post apparently was shared earlier this week by the president, featuring a video of several Somali American students celebrating kindergarten graduation at a K-8 school in St. Paul, Minnesota. What on earth do we got here? What was so Islamophobic here?
The highest level of our government is attacking children. Imagine that.
This week, the president posted a video showing a kindergarten graduation featuring Somali children. Trump included a caption from another account that says, "Public school in St. Paul, Minnesota. Every girl is in a hijab in kindergarten. We're blurring their faces for their protection." KRMN says, quote, "The inflammatory anti-Muslim social media post puts a target on the children." On Wednesday, Faith and Community...
Well, I think hijabs are disgusting. I think hijabs are gross. I think it's a gross culture of oppression, and I don't believe... I'm going to be honest with you. I don't believe there's any issue with criticizing the culture at large. I don't think that the president is trying to share this saying, go out and get those kids and rip the hijabs off their heads. But I think, I don't think hijabs fly very famously in America. I think that there's a lot of people that pseudo-like them. You'll see that there's a lot of feminists and whatnot that have been clowned into wearing them and whatnot. It's a weird dichotomy where it's like they align themselves with the idea that women should be these free creatures who live out their destiny and whatever they choose. But then they proceed to embrace a culture that's like The Handmaid's Tale. Like the same people that bitch about how, The Handmaid's Tale's coming true. Women are losing all their rights. You know where women are really losing all their rights? In like Muslim families. Families do this. It's not the government. Listen, I know that's hilarious, the idea of the government. And overseas, the government does do that shit to women. They enforce it. There's like a religious police where they'll beat you if you go outside your house not wearing it correctly. So like if you want to talk about The Handmaid's Tale, this is like people's own families that are like, it's fathers and brothers beating their sisters and mothers. It's commonplace. Their wives, they punish them because culturally, religiously, they are less than men. And these same people want to bitch about the idea that America's taking away all of women's rights. Amy Coney Barrett is up. I get it. Yes, Amy Coney Barrett wants to bring hijabs across the seas. She wants every woman to be like a fucking mailbox where like the only thing you can see is their eyes through the little slit that you put the letter through. Like, I understand. That's exactly what you think Amy Coney Barrett wants. It's not true. She has kids, like a lot of kids, and she's worried about the future. Like, she doesn't want a future where her sons can buy their future wife.
Leaders gathered at Carmel Mall in Minneapolis, condemning the politicization and public targeting of the Somali students. They say they're tired of showing up for moments when Muslims are attacked. From threatening voicemails,
"Trashy Muslims, you're all gonna die."
That's terrible, yeah.
In May, that came after a federal raid of daycares and autism centers suspected of fraud. They say it all points to an increasing climate of hostility.
We are here not because of one incident, but a pattern that should trouble every one of us.
Also this week, the Ramsey County Sheriff said a small number of Somali youths in gangs are responsible for over a dozen homicides.
If that's true, though, then why is that racist? If a group of Somali kids are out there killing each other for social media clout, why does that make him racist?
School principal responded.
Lumping the Somali community together, naming everything Somali, is a big problem that we need to be to call out. So we need, as a community of all kinds of people on rocks, come together and stand together and say no to this type of low-level rhetoric that is anti-human.
I think the real anti-human behavior is killing other members of your own community. A lot of this is Somali on Somali, unfortunately. Killing members of your own community for what exactly? Because they, dissed your sneakers or something like that? I think that's kind of the inhuman, anti-human behavior. And by the way, it's happening in your own neighborhood, so keep bitching at me and see if it gets any better for you, ladies and gentlemen. And not that anybody from that video is listening to this, but however, if they are, that message is for them. Crayola. What's so special about Crayola? They are getting into the electric car market, interestingly enough. Slate, this new company they're partnering with.
Listen to this. Crayola is partnering with Slate. It's a new company making what they say will be America's most affordable electric truck. It has a starting cost around $25,000, over 175 accessories, and 100 wrap options are available, including Crayola colors like Fern, Jersey Tomato, and Razzmatazz.
I predict in less than 4 years, we are going to see cereal companies making cars. We're going to see, what is that one brand? Sharper Image. We're going to see Sharper Image cars. We're going to see luxury brand cars. There's going to be bands that do limited release cars for this album that they did. All this sort of stuff. They're gonna be the Weezer car. At one point, you're going to see the Weezer car, and I'm really nervous about that time because they're going to be able to be we can sell these special novelty cars for $25,000, and people will love it. You're gonna see these on eBay being flipped for 15 times that price. It's gonna be an interesting time when we get to a point of capitalism, get to a point of excessive gimme new materialistic things where this TV show is coming out. Look, you can get a Santa Clarita Diet Season 4 wraparound on your car. It looks like blood spatter. That is going to be a weird time to be alive. And do you know what else is going to be a weird time to be alive? It is going to be a weird time to be alive when robots finally supersede us, when they are able to, write a symphony, turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece.
Can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece?
I don't know about you, but I look forward to this day. Humanoid robots are already performing surgery on human beings. This is at the UCSD Advanced Robotics and Control Lab and Center for the Future of Surgery. This is terrifying. And Good Morning America wants you to be joyous about the idea that they are really coming for everyone's jobs. It's not just doctors, you know what I mean? It's they're going to be coming after welders soon. They're going to be coming after, they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to replace your plumber. Yeah, they will. We're not going to have blue collar jobs. They're going to have construction robots. You put fiberglass in walling, guess what? Your job's gone now because we have humanoids that'll do it they'll never get tired. We can have them build all throughout the night. Skyscrapers will be up in a few days.
A new kind of robot is scrubbing in. For the first time, surgeons at UC San Diego have operated...
Look at how joyous they are. A new type of robot is scrubbing in. They're using, the terms that, nurses use. This is goofy.
A new kind of robot is scrubbing in. For the first time, surgeons at UC San Diego have operated through...
This is what goofy white people try to frame an issue through. They're like, well, no, it's actually good. It's good that the robot dogs that we're developing have actual dog-like teeth. Because then, if you run into a situation where you're chasing a criminal, you can just sink the dog's teeth into their leg, and then it'll have a tranquilizing agent within the dog's teeth, and then you're going to be fighting crime so much quicker, and, definitely it will not be used for the suppression of, people in riots. It won't be used if you're caught at a protest that we don't like or something like that. If you're considered an anti-tech person, we're not going to be using these to neutralize people like Russia.
Robots, removing gallbladders and 2 procedures on pigs, a key step before any human trials.
As a proof of concept, it absolutely works.
The robot is 5 feet tall with a head and arms and kind of looks like a human. And it has a nickname.
The robot nickname is Sergey, and I think maybe you can
understand why the name Sergi.
Sergi is not like the robotic systems already in operating rooms, machines that require a lot of space. Sergi fits anywhere a person can, and that's the point.
The space constraints didn't exist.
See, if this was what was doing Osama bin Laden's, dialysis and everything, he would have lived another 20 years. We still would have never found him.
Like in traditional robotic surgery, it was a human-type bedside assistant, so it just fit into the space that we're traditionally used to being in for laparoscopic surgery.
You can imagine this device being deployed on a ship, in a village somewhere, in a smaller operating room environment that's not in major cities.
How happy are you about this? Because guess what? They're going to be doing exactly what these OpenAI people are doing. They're going to be training on your human data. They're going to find out exactly how much pressure the doctors apply in order to make sure that they don't cut through certain veins. They're going to make sure that this robot is so finely tuned that you will not be able to tell the difference between being operated on by an artificial intelligence and a human being. We're getting to the point where we're like... It will be 50 years from now where it will be like, oh, do you remember when doctors were a thing? Do you remember when, like, surgeons... Like, I understand there's going to be, like, doctors that are going to be studying medicine, all this sort of stuff, but surgeons, traditional surgeons, like, it'll be considered a medieval practice. The idea that, oh my god, human beings used to, like, wash their hands and, like, put gloves on and, like, dig into other people. We just have the robot do that now. Like, that will be considered... a way that we look at, like, the way that they used to chop off people's knees. Like, if you fucked up your knee because of, like, the way the bone kind of sits on tendons and whatnot, they used to have to just take all that knee bone out, and you would just have to walk around with a cane all the day. Like, that's what they used to do in Viking days. That's what they, you learn this when you watch Game Theory and whatnot. That's a young jit pull from my old days. It's like Skyrim. Would an arrow in the knee really do that much? Well, yeah, back in the Viking days, they didn't have much in order to treat it, so they just removed your entire knee bone, and you were basically a cripple the rest of your life. This is exactly how we're going to look back on the practice of humans operating on humans. It's like, that is so archaic. That's so crazy. Why would you want a human being to operate on you when, they could make a mistake? They could make a human error. They could have a jolt of, like, energy that makes their hand move in a certain way that just nicks you wrong or whatever. Literally, the nick is about it's the doctor where he operates on himself and one nick kills him at the end of the show. Spoiler. It's what the entire show is building up to, whatever. The whole point that I'm trying to get across here is that we are going to look back at the days of humanoid doctors, humans operating on human beings as, like, archaic.
And it opens up, I think, a lot of doors for access.
Researchers say robots like Sergi could one day help ease staffing shortages in hospitals, starting as an assistant, handing tools and cleaning up. And while most humanoid robots go viral for stunts, the team says this is about something bigger.
Humanoid robots being used for doing things like backflips and kung fu, things that ultimately aren't helping society. And we as a team knew that with some technological development, we could show a role for humanoid robots to actually help benefit society and help people.
The robots aren't ready for hospitals yet, but researchers say that day is coming.
Soon, by the way. Very soon.
I believe we've shown that it is possible to use humanoid robots in an operating room to do real procedures that can eventually save lives.
These are going to be out in hospitals, like, as soon as tomorrow. I'm going to be honest with you. 2030. 2030s, we're going to have doctor robots in a lot of hospitals. Not everywhere. It's not going to be universal. It's going to be something that a lot of rich people have access to and a lot of decent areas have access to first. But you are going to see that surgeons that are not human beings are going to become a lot more popular. You know what I mean? This surveillance state is growing. The automated police drones are growing. Minneapolis is getting ready to automate their police drones with technology that they are getting from the same company that supplies the IDF, ladies and gentlemen, the Israeli Defense Force.
The city of Minneapolis is considering contracting with a surveillance drone company used by the IDF. So I'm at City Hall to say, please don't.
These aren't just regular police drones. These are automated police drones that automatically deploy when a 911 call is received. Because the primary complaint of Minneapolis residents was that our police force isn't automated enough. So many people showed up for this meeting that the overflow chamber overflowed and people had to wait out in the hallway. 48 people ended up speaking out against these drones. Some of them were dropping some serious bars.
What I most don't understand is what problem we're trying to solve. people don't feel unsafe because there aren't enough drones in the air.
I said a few words. I want to actually seriously question the actual utility of drones as a first responder. There's no way for the operator to actually talk with anyone on site. That means
they can just fly outside your window and watch you get raped and murdered. That's all they can do for you.
Limited capability of actually gathering information about what's happening. It's just a flying camera. Most domestic disturbances are going to take place indoors. I can't see these things being actually very useful for much beyond, mission creep, where they just become the thing that's monitors protests, beyond essentially becoming a mass surveillance tool. I think the public is going to hate seeing these faceless, voiceless drones flying around observing them. I think it's going to really undermine the remaining trust that people have in our police departments. Mainly, I really think that this is going to end up with a lot more unnecessary arrests, a lot more unnecessary assaults on officers. I can't see this actually leading to more safety for anyone. I think it's like every other big tech invention. It's not really going to benefit the public that much, but it's going to benefit the company that created it a whole lot. This is going to be an expensive way to not increase public safety. Please don't give away my civil liberties because some fancy tech guy from California came and gave a nice sales pitch.
I found out when I started editing this that these things have already resulted in tons of unnecessary arrests. Just last month, police in Florida were using a first responder drone to look for a bear, when for some reason they decided to spy on these magnificent Florida men instead. Homie here was not happy with being observed by a drone, so he decided to open fire with the Red Ryder. Now homeboy is facing 20 years in prison. So yeah, big tech's building an AI surveillance state. Luckily, as a citizen, you can speak out against this.
If you shoot your BB gun, or not even a real gun, just at a police drone, not even knowing that it's a police drone, you will be facing serious time, because they need to make sure that you are safe in your community. They need to make sure that it's for the betterment. You know those little tiny drones that float around, they look like eyes in Half-Life? They take photos of you and they flash, and you're like flashbang for a second. You can't see anything. That is exactly what these things are going to be in a few years. Flock cameras. They're going to pilot them around with these drones into just your backyards.
NBC News is now reporting cities all across the country are canceling contracts with a surveillance company that scans billions of license plates every month. And the pushback is actually coming from both sides of the political aisle.
Of the political aisle.
Flock safety. More than 5,000 law enforcement agencies use its cameras to photograph license plates, logging time, location, and vehicle details into a searchable national database without a warrant. Since 2021, at least 82 communities in 28 states have walked away from their flock contracts, including Austin, Seattle, and cities across Oregon, California, and Arizona.
Fargo hasn't.
The biggest driver here is cities discovered their local cameras were quietly feeding data to federal immigration agencies without local authorization. The flock says that its technology has helped find missing persons and catch criminals, but more communities are deciding the trade-off is not worth it.
I'm just going to be honest with you. If you have a missing person, and I know that this is a very niche audience, but if you have a missing person in your life and if the police have ever told you, yeah, we just don't have any leads, we don't know where you could be, that keep in mind your child, your relative, no matter how old they are, was likely kidnapped and used for some Freemason police officer ritual. They know exactly where they went. And the actual reason that you never actually got any answers is because if they gave you answers, that would give the whole scheme away. Freemasons are all in your local police officer forces. They all eat the missing people that they tell you they can't find. They are like, I'm going to be honest with you, worse than demons. Some of these people are worse than demons, and they're the people that you are entrusting to make your community safe. It's crazy. Whatever. Your community's not safe, whether it's the police officers that are loyal to, secret societies more so than they are to you, the taxpayers who pay them, you know what I mean, the money that they earn every single day. They can't even protect you. No one can protect you from, food being contaminated, water being contaminated. You are not safe from anything. Cyclosporiasis, this parasite found in 31 states. You're not safe from this. We don't even know exactly where it's coming from.
Cases of a disease caused by a microscopic parasite are growing, and health officials still haven't found the exact source of the outbreak.
Well, damn.
Michigan leads the country in cases of Cyclosporiasis. In roughly 2 weeks, there have been more than 1,500 cases reported and 44 hospitalizations. Normally, the state sees 50 cases per year. According to the CDC, 31 states have reported cases. Infections bring unpleasant side effects, including frequent diarrhea. Past outbreaks have been linked to fresh produce. And common advice to avoid infection includes washing fruits and veggies, but some experts say that is not enough to kill the parasite.
Uh-oh.
Dr. Eric Asher joins us now. He's a family medicine physician at North Wales Lenox Hill Hospital.
You heard them, ladies and gentlemen. You got to cook your goddamn iceberg lettuce.
Here in New York City. And doctor, we know that we have cases in New York State, and we also know this is probably way underreported because people have to actually go seek care, get their stool sampled in order to confirm these cases. What is this? Why is this so concerning?
So this is one of the foodborne illnesses that is not contracted human to human. We know that it is from contaminated produce, and we know that this year in particular, there are a lot more cases, as you mentioned, than we typically see, and that's likely because it has been so humid, and parasites thrive in this weather and this humidity. We know that the fresh fruits seem more appealing during this time of year, and they're much more easy to find, and we know that there are so many people traveling into the country at this point of year, so we're seeing just, because of the World Cup, because of the Knicks winning basketball, we're finding that there are a lot more people here as well now.
So let's talk about what we can do, because I'm just the kind of person that I buy my produce and I'll give it a quick rinse under the sink, but it's not like I'm sitting there scrubbing each individual piece. What can we do to protect ourselves?
So in particular, while this is
Stop being a filthy bitch and wash your fruit.
That after you use the bathroom, you're doing a really good job of washing your hands. Before you're washing your fruits and vegetables and preparing food, you're washing your hands. And you're doing a really, really good job at scrubbing all of your produce, especially produce like strawberries and berries and spinach, kale, things that have nooks and crannies in it. You really want to make sure that you're spending a good amount of time rinsing those things. You want to make sure that you're buying your own fruits and vegetables. You're not going to places that are pre-cutting and pre-peeling, because we don't know what kind of hygiene they're following. So you want to do a good job. Whatever you bring home from the store, you're peeling it yourself, you're washing it yourself. If there's any bruised or nicked areas in the produce, you throw it out. And after you cut things, after you chop up your produce, put it right in the fridge right away.
How crucial is it to find the source of the outbreak?
That would help.
That would help.
Know where it's coming from, but where things are being sent all over from so many different places, it's likely not coming from one place in particular, which is what's making this difficult to track. But the best thing we could do now is not stress and just make sure we're doing a good job of washing. And to prevent this, really washing is not enough. It's helpful, but it's not fully protective. So if you could cook your fruits and vegetables, if you could buy frozen fruits and vegetables, if you could replace your fresh herbs with dried herbs until things calm down a little bit, that's another means of protecting yourself.
Okay, Dr. Eric Asher, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Well, okay, I guess just use your, what's it called? Your dry oregano. Don't go out and buy it fresh. I prefer it in the little bottle anyways. You throw that in some ground beef for burgers. Ooh, you're eating good, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about this unusual warm weather. It's affecting lakes, hot springs, abandoned pools, anywhere you can imagine with water. This amoeba enters the body via the nostrils when people jump into water, when they swim in it, and it can quickly attack the human brain tissue. This is a very big thing that I want to warn people about. If you plan to go swimming at any point this summer, just be aware. Keep this shit keep that shit, any of that water out of your nose. Don't be fun about it. Don't be goofy, because, any of this could affect you tomorrow.
It's almost like a nightmare. It's like a Stephen King novel.
You're looking at one of the deadliest organisms on Earth. This is Nigleria fowleri, a brain-eating amoeba. It lurks in warm fresh water and can be forced up the nose when jumping into lakes, hot springs, or abandoned pools. From there, it travels straight to the brain, along the nerves, where it causes life-threatening swelling. Experts warn the amoeba is being detected in places where it was once rarely seen as bodies of water heat up.
It's very unlikely you get it, but if you do, you probably will die. The mean age is 12 because kids love splashing in warm water. It's just so cruel.
11-year-old Jordan Smelski was infected after swimming during a family holiday in Costa Rica.
And Jordan and I spent one day going down a water slide in hot spring water. In 7.5 days from swimming, he was gone. It takes your mind away, it takes your thoughts, it takes who you are away.
Cases like Jordan's are rare, but scientists are increasingly concerned that climate change is creating better conditions for amoebas to thrive in cooler places. Fewer than 500 cases have previously been identified worldwide, but Kerala, a state in India, reported over 200 infections in 2025 alone.
Jesus.
This makes it the biggest outbreak ever recorded.
There are going to be more cases in the future, or we'll be able to see more. Hopefully by then we'll have better ways of prevention.
So they say it's very rare, don't worry about it. But Jordan swam one day, one time. He's gone and we can't change it.
All right. Well, if it's just a one-time thing that can get you in the grave, I tend to warn people a lot about it. Even though people can label me a panican, people can label me whatever they want. I'm a hypochondriac, and I'm proud of it because it has kept me safe throughout the years, and I think that it's a decent... Everyone should have a mild amount of hypochondria. You should be a little worried about health. Of course, you cannot be somebody who's Steve-O's your way through life. Otherwise, you're not... Most likely, you're not going to be in a movie that's releasing anytime soon. You're not going to be making a career out of making stupid decisions like, I don't know, being uncareful. Like, really, not even like... You're not even doing stunts. It's like people die from the most ridiculous shit, like cutting raw meat in areas that are too close to stuff that you're not going to cook. Like, people die of really stupid shit, and then they don't get anything out of it. They just are dead. So, be careful as best you can be in this world, but I don't know. Anyway, nobody can guarantee perfection. I understand that. Let's talk about, how about this, our final story of the day. The United States launching a new wave of airstrikes on Iran. I don't know why I'm using my Caitlyn Jenner voice. The Middle East, the heavy bombardment of retaliatory strikes across Iran ordered directly by President Donald Trump is marking the largest military action since the fragile month-old ceasefire was signed in June. U.S. Central Command has confirmed the operation, stating that strikes were directed in response to the surge of Iranian drone and missile attacks against international commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Pentagon officials report that American forces targeted roughly 90 locations throughout southwestern Iran, focusing heavily on degrading the regime's naval and air defense capabilities. We always hear that. The extensive strikes slammed into anti-ship missile sites and ground control centers, coastal radar installations, and dozens of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps naval vessels. Iranian state media has confirmed multiple explosions in major coastal hubs, including the strategic port of Bandar Abbas and Sirik. The report that the perimeter of the nation's sole civilian nuclear plant in Bashir, was also struck. So this is effectively shattering the June 17th Memorandum of Understanding. All the political leaders, they would hoped that this would pave the way to, we're going to have real understanding, permanent peace, this real deal, as J.D. Vance voiced it. Speaking from a NATO summit, President Trump declared the temporary truce to be officially over, warning Tehran that the United States will continue to impose heavy costs if the regime persists in trying to enforce its own restrictions on the global shipping corridor. In a blunt statement posted to social media, the president shared footage of explosions, warning that if Iran aggression continues, it will get much worse for them. Tehran has responded with rapid defiance, immediately launching a wave of kamikaze drones and ballistic missiles against U.S. military installations and allied nations in the Gulf, triggering emergency response sirens in Bahrain, Kuwait. The explosive escalation coincides with a deep, tense period of national mourning inside of Iran, occurring just as the massive crowds have gathered in the holy city of Mashhad for the final burial of the late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Fly high, King. We're both named Ali. You just spell it wrong. With both sides trading direct military blows, threatening further retaliation. Regional analysts are warning that the window for diplomatic resolution is not open anymore.
After the escalation of strikes between the U.S. and Iran, as both sides trying to control the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. launched yet another round of strikes. Here's ABC senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
Tonight, the U.S.-Iran ceasefire breaking down as both sides unleash attacks in a fight to control the Strait of Hormuz.
Breaking down implies that it was ever built up. I don't get that sense anymore, ever.
Those fresh attacks amid mixed messaging over the world's most important waterway. Hours after the U.S. launched a large-scale attack, striking 140 military targets in Iran, Iran retaliating, targeting several Gulf nations. Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, and Qatar all intercepting incoming fire. Qatar says 3 people, including a child, were injured by shrapnel. And tonight, the U.S. launching yet another round of strikes on Iran. A U.S. official saying they're meant to degrade Iran's ability to hit commercial shipping. The U.S. blaming Iran for those continued attacks on ships in the Strait. U.S. officials had expected Iran to publicly commit to stop attacking ships in the Strait after weekend negotiations in Oman. But
Instead, Iran says it opened fire after several ships used unapproved routes and ignored warnings from its navy. And now declaring it's closing the strait until the end of American interventions in this region. But tonight, President Trump insisting the critical waterway remains open.
It's open. We bombed the hell out of them last night.
And Lindsey, President Trump is also claiming that Iran agreed to a deal during those talks in Oman yesterday, but Iran hasn't said anything about that. Instead, Iran continues to use the Strait of Hormuz as leverage in these talks. Lindsey, Selena Wang from the White House.
Selena Wang, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a lot harder for Donald Trump to negotiate all of this with his main ally for all of this hawkish war bullshit. Lindsey Graham gone. He will truly be missed, and I dedicate this episode to him. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you had a wonderful time listening to these stories. I had a wonderful time gathering them for you. If you'd like to be there for the rest of this week's episode, subscribe, like if you liked it, ring the bell for notifications. In the meantime, I have been Ollie Vogt Larson. Thank you so much for listening with your brain on air. I will catch you in tomorrow's episode. In the meantime, bye-bye.